So Graphic
Graphic
Energy
Energy
University,
University
welcome to
School of Pharmacy
the
presents this session for medicinal chemistry.
today we continue
We will
with the drug
continue with the
profile.
drug for parasympathetic nervous system, part
I
7.
am Professor Dr. Rahman
I'm
from
Associate Professor
School of
Dr.
Pharmacy.
Ahmed Nawaz Khan from School of Pharmacy. In the previous class, part 6, we have discussed three compounds, hydrophonium chloride, ambinonium chloride, and tetraene hydrochloride. These hydrophonium chloride and ambinonium chloride, they are used for the myasthenia gravis, which is a problem of the weakness in the muscles. The tetraene hydrochloride is used as a respiratory stimulant in Alzheimer's disease as well as in some central nervous system disorders. But this tetraene hydrochloride has been no more in the market in the US because of the hepatotoxicity or gastrotoxicity. This hydrophonium chloride was a short-acting reversible inhibitor of cholinesterase, and these were the long or intermediate to long acting because it belongs to the carbamate class. Now organophosphate. So after the carbamate, which are the reversible inhibitors of cholinesterase, today we will discuss the organophosphate, which are irreversible inhibitor of the cholinesterase. Yet we have not discussed about the antagonist. Don't confuse it with the antagonist, cholinergic antagonist. Right now we are talking about the inhibitors of cholinesterase enzyme, which hydrolyze the acetylcholine into choline and acetate. So we will cover the antagonist, cholinergic antagonist in the coming classes. But right now we are studying the irreversible inhibitors, and earlier we have done the reversible inhibitors. So these organophosphate, they are different than the carbamates in terms of their action, which are long duration action. Organophosphate and the carbamate, they have intermediate to long duration. These organophosphates, they are the organic ester of phosphoric acids. So all the organophosphates, they irreversibly bind to the acetylcholinesterase. These compounds form the reversible, first they form the reversible complex with enzyme at the esteratic site. If you remember that there are two sites, the anionic sites and the esteratic sites. So these compounds, they bind to the enzyme on the esteratic site. Reversible complex. They make first reversible complex, and then reversible complex immediately convert into irreversible complex. These organophosphate, they are usually represented by the formula. This is the formula, and the R1 can be alkoxyl, R2 alkoxyl alkyl or tertiaryamine, A maybe oxygen, sulfur or selenium, and X is a good living group, just like chlorine and cyanide. Now, irreversible inhibitors of acetylcholinesterase act in a similar way as the carbamates, but the phosphate bond is stable for hundreds of hours. Because of the phosphate bond, this is the phosphate bond, they are stable for hundreds of hours. That means they are irreversible. They cannot get reversed. Organophosphate insecticide can enter the human body through skin, absorption, inhalation, and ingestion. And if accidentally it is overdosed or we take it because they are used as insecticides basically, so then they cause a suicidal intoxication, which may lead to the central nervous system disorders, neuromuscular and respiratory paralysis, bronchuria, bronchospasm, pulmonary edema, bradycardia, circulatory collapse, and cardiac depression. Some example of the organophosphates are ecothiopate, isofluorophate, malathion, parathion, and pyridoxine. Important point is this pyridoxine is rather than inhibitor, it's a reactivator of these organophosphates irreversible inhibitors. We'll discuss them. The first compound in the organophosphate irreversible cholinesterase inhibitor is ecothiopate, which is comes in the market in the form of iodide salt. This is the IUPAC name. This ecothiopate was developed to selectively bind to the acetylcholinesterase enzyme, and this was achieved by introducing a quaternary ammonium group at a suitable distance. This is the quaternary ammonium group. At a suitable distance, the two carbon bridge, this is the two carbon bridge from the phosphorylating head group. This is the phosphorylating head group, which is the part of organophosphate moiety. Now, these ecothiophate iodide is a potent, long-acting, irreversible cholinesterase inhibitor, which is used in ocular hypertensive in the treatment of glaucoma and occasionally used for the accommodative esotropia. This is the accommodative esotropia. What is accommodative esotropia? Is a problem of the eye. That means crossed eyes, which is a type of problem in the eye alignments. Ecothiophate, despite of its toxicity, this is considered as a second line treatment of the open angle glaucoma, which are controlled by the short acting cholinergic agonist like the carbamates or entrophorium. Now the isofluorophate. This is the IUPAC name of isofluorophate, and this is an irreversible cholinesterase inhibitor with action similar to those of ecothiophate. It is a powerful myotic used mainly in the treatment of glaucoma, and its vapor are highly toxic, and it is recommended that it must be used in a solution in the archis oil. Archis oil is a peanut oil or the groundnut oil, and then it can only be used as therapeutically. Basically, what happened that because of the highly toxic nature, they damage the enzyme. They damage the enzyme. That's why there is a reactivator is used, which is paralleloxime, which displaces the isofluorophate from the acetylcholinesterase. But this helps as a reactivator only if it is administered before the isofluorophate damages the enzyme. That means this paralleloxime must be prescribed before isofluorophate. If it is given not in the archis oil, then we will give the paralleloxime first, then isofluorophate.
So particular irreversible. So welcome to the session for participants. Today we continue with the drug program in the vestibular system. I am Professor Dr. from Organophosphates.
Now the malathion. This is the IUPAC name of the malathion. Malathion is a strong cholinesterase inhibitor. The parathion was a weak cholinesterase inhibitor, and it is malathion is a phosphodithione esters, and it is another effective pesticide, which is more effective on insect than on human because it requires the biotransformation to the phosphate form, and this biotransformation it can only be carried out by the insect. So it is a poor reversible inhibitor of cholinesterase enzyme, and it is available as a light amber colored liquid having sulfur like odor. Now it is used for the patient infected with pediculus humanus capitis, that means head lice and their ova of the scalp hair for the lices. Now how this biotransformation take place? There are two major metabolites of the malathion, which are mono and dicarboxylic acid derivatives, and one is meloxon. This meloxon is a minor metabolite, but this meloxon is the only compound which cause this cholinesterase inhibitor activity, meloxon. What happened after this? The meloxon, it become activate after the metabolism. The essential function of these chemicals, they interfere with the action of cholinesterase, which are the potent neurotoxin, and they cause the muscle spasm and ultimately death of the insect. Now, the pyridoxine. This is the IUPAC name of the pyridoxine, and it is a cholinesterase reactivator. It is available in the form of the pyridoxine chloride. This pyridoxine chloride is a colorless or light yellow colored water soluble and crystalline powder, and it is synthesized from the picolinol. What happened in the picolinol? This picolinol first converted into the oxime. The formed oxime is converted to pyridoxine methosulfate when it reacts with the dimethyl sulfate, which on treatment with the hydrochloric acid, they form the pyridoxine chloride. This molecule is a very useful antidote for the intoxication with cholinesterase inhibitors, such as all organophosphates. And the molecule removes the inhibitor from the active site in the form of an enzyme phosphate.